Well, it's that time of the season. It's getting pretty darn cold out, and I don't have any heat in my car. So today we're going to be rebuilding the heater valve in my E28 535. But before we do that, we're going to actually diagnose the problem. I'll show you guys how to do that. So my car's been running for about 5 minutes now. It's about 50-60 degrees outside. And if the heater valve's going bad, you should still be able to get heat at idle. So we've been idling for about 5 minutes, so we're going to check the temperature on the inside and go for a short drive. We're going to go on a short drive because even if you're getting heat at idle, the issue with the heater valve is that when you start driving, that's when you start losing heat. So if that's the case, we're going to come back and rebuild. I'll show you guys how to rebuild the heater valve. Alright, so our heat's turned all the way up, our fan's all the way on. We actually replaced this fan in the previous episode, so check it out. So let's check out the temperature. Yeah, we're at around 81, 82 degrees. Very good. So we're going to go on a short drive and see if we can actually keep that heat, and if not, I'll show you guys how to rebuild the heater valve. Alright, so we're back from our drive, and let's take a look at temperature. Alright, this was only after a 5-minute drive, so dropping 10, you could expect to drop a few more degrees on a nice highway trip. So first things first, I'm going to show you guys where the heater valve is. It's going to be right here on the driver's side, 4 flathead bolts and 1 plug. So we're going to unplug this and remove those 4 bolts. So this is our heater's mono valve. Just a heads up, when you're unbolting this from the actual heater, it's going to leak a little bit of coolant, so maybe do it when the car's cold. And the moment I took this out, we already had a piece break off. So we're just gonna try to pull this thing apart. The seals are actually looking pretty good, but the whole thing is just dirty, a little bit of rust. So let's just go ahead and take this thing apart. Now that we have this valve taken apart, you can tell that it's a little bit dirty, but to rebuild this, we're going to be using the URO parts kit for the heater valve repair. And I'll leave the parts number to this in the description, but like I said, this is just a rebuild kit, so you're not going to get this tubing, and you're going to need this, but we're just going to be replacing the screen, basically all of this, the screen, the little rubber seal, not this, and this little metal gasket that just absolutely rusted off. So I'm going to clean this up with maybe some degreaser and we'll get started. So here's a closer look at some of the internal components. This is the old mesh filter. It's looking pretty dirty, but the rubbers all seem to be in good shape. For a lot of people, some of these rubbers usually rip, and that's what causes the issues. But here's our new one, and it looks pretty much exactly the same, other than that little spot weld right there. But yeah, and don't forget, this little gasket lip right here is supposed to go over this lip, which I'll show you later. And this little washer goes onto the valve, and then your other washers. So let's get this thing put back together and back in the car. Just a heads up, the washer that came with the kit seemed to be a little bit smaller than the original that was located right here that we took off after the C-clip. So I decided to use the original black one on here again, and everything's back together. So let's throw this thing back in the car. Everything's back in, everything's tightened up. Don't forget to plug your solenoid sensor back in, and if you cut your zip tie, make sure to throw another zip tie back on. So now we're just going to go for another short drive, but instead of letting the car idle, we're just going to go right away and see if the heat catches up. All right, now with the heat on, we're going to go for a short drive without letting the car idle and see if the heat can catch up. Right now we're working, let's see what we're working with. About 66 degrees, 64, 69. So we're gonna get this car moving and see if the heat catches up. All right, we went for a quick 5-10 minute drive, so let's take a look at our temperatures. All right. Fantastic. So it looks like everything's working just as it's supposed to be. This was crazy. This was a $20 piece that I threw in the car, and now everything's working just great. I hope this video helped you guys out a little bit. Thanks.